Hello, my friends. It's Connie Stewart with SimplySimpleStamping.com. Thanks so much for joining me today. It's time for a new flashcard 2.0. I know how much you guys enjoy the flashcards, and I love bringing them to you. Today's card, I got to tell you my inspiration. Yesterday on my back patio, there was a little bird sitting right there on a patio chair singing. Oh, my heart was so full. It was like my first feel of spring, and that really inspired today's card. And I needed a good friendship card, and this one really fit the bill. So we've got a little interactive here. You notice there's a nice little flap here on the side. So this card is just a little bit different than your average card. Now, the star of the show today is the Free as a Bird stamp set. I love this stamp set, and I know many of you already have this one. I love that we've got a couple different great bird images, lots of great sentiments, and some flowers too. Now, for today's card, we're going to go over the measurements and the supplies and all the things that you need to create the card, but don't worry about writing them down. Just look down there in that YouTube description and you'll find everything that you need right there, along with some photos to help you as you design your card. All right, I'm done talking. Let's get to stamping. I'm going to start with Seaside Spray as my card base. It is cut 5.5 by 8.5, and I have that scored at 1 inch and at 4 1/4. And you can see that's going to kind of create a little fun fold for us. It is a flashcard 2.0, so I'm going to be using my flashcard 2.0 pieces. I have a piece of Petal Pink, 2 1/8 by 5.5 inches. Whisper White is 2 inches by 5 3/8. And you can see those pieces can layer just like that, but we're actually going to use them very separately today. The last piece of cardstock is an optional piece for the inside of your card. It's 3 inches by 5 1/4, and let me bring my card in so I can show you. That is if you would like to add a piece right here that you can write your message, and if you'd like to write an extra long message, you can actually do 2 of those, one here and one here. I'm also going to use the Petal Pink metallic edge ribbon. Guys, this is a satin ribbon. It ties so pretty, so easy. You can either go with a knot or a small bow, whichever you prefer. Just keep them tiny for this card. We don't want to overpower the birds. Before we get started with the stamping, I do need to do a quick cut to this Petal Pink. Guys, I want to cut this down to 1 inch. So I'll just put that there in my paper trimmer. We're going to use both those pieces. I'm going to begin with an early espresso ink pad. And this is going to be a friendship card. So we're going to say your friendship means the world to me. Now, what I want to do here, I'm going to come down here at the bottom and I want to stamp this. And you notice I'm coming, probably about 1 inch, 1.5 inches or so up. We're going to stamp that right there. We are going to use the Label Me Lovely punch on this, but we're going to do a little trick. We're going to have a little fun here. So let me zoom in so that you can see. I don't know if you can see, but my punch is a little wider than my cardstock. So we're just going to line that up. You see how I'm just lining it up in the punch? And yep, I'm cutting off the bottom, and that does not bother me a bit. It's going to be hidden. So I've got that there, and I'm going to show you why there's that extra here in just a second. But we're going to use this piece for our focal image, but I need to cut it down. Yeah, we can't leave that hanging on there. So where you cut it, it does not matter. It looks like this is about 3 1/4, but really it's just going to be determined on where your sentiment cut and punched. It's not a problem if it's a little bit smaller. I'm now ready to stamp those birds, but I need some grid paper underneath me because I am going to be going off of this cardstock. Now, where you stamp this, you can decide if you want to get the birds on there that way, if you want to go right smack in the middle. But I have this big leaf off to the side, so I'm going to let that one kind of come off. So we'll stamp that right there. Now let's bring in some Stampin Blends. These are all light Stampin Blends, so we're not using the dark today. I have a light pumpkin pie, light crumb cake, light old olive, and light seaside spray. I'm going to start with the light crumb cake, and I'm going to give a little belly here to my birds. You notice it's not like a rocket science thing, just putting a little circle on there, nothing major. Now I'm going to come in with that light seaside spray, and I'm going to come and color in my birds, and I'm just going to go around. And if I hit that crumb cake, that's okay. That's really kind of what I'm going for. I want to kind of blend a little bit right there. See that? It just kind of gives a little more detail to the bird. So I'm going to just keep doing that. Let me color in the last two birds here. I love to create with Stampin' Blends. From the girl who says, I hate to color, I've changed my tune. I love to color now. All right, so my birds are done. Now let's come in, you know what, that little beak, my birds aren't done. Their beaks are white. Let's come in with pumpkin pie and give those little beaks a little tiny touch. Now, I thought since I've got you using that pumpkin pie, that light pumpkin pie, let's go ahead and color in these cute flowers. And we're gonna go ahead and give just this little burst of color here to my card. And I really like how this looks, especially up against the petal pink that we're gonna be using here in a minute. Looks really nice. I'm gonna come back in with that crumb cake and I'm going to color the tree branch. And now I'm just gonna get the leaves with that light old olive. It just looks so pretty. Now, if you love to create with blends and you wanna come in and bring in the dark and do some shading, I encourage you to do that. I really just wanted to kind of keep this one simple today. Just kind of doing some basic coloring, but yeah, have some fun with it because they really are a lot of fun to blend with. All right, let's come in and work with that petal pink. Now remember we had a 1 inch and a 1 1/8 inch. Let's set 1 1/8 inch off to the side. We're gonna work with the 1 inch piece. So now I'm gonna come back in with my early espresso. And over here on the right-hand side, I'm going to stamp, We're the Best of Friends. There is a little tiny flower in the Free as a Bird stamp set. So we wanna make sure we're using that tiny one. And I'm just gonna randomly stamp, very random, because I don't wanna fill it up too much. I don't wanna get too heavy. Oh, let's get one more right there and a little bit right there. All right, that looks good. All right, let me set that off to the side because I need to do a little bit more stamping on my card front. I'm going to open that up and you notice the flap is over there to the right side. I'm going to take my Seaside Spray ink pad and there is a bigger flower in this stamp set. So what I want to do here is just randomly stamp this flower all over the front of the card. Keep in mind this flap's going to cover it up, so I'm not too worried about that area right there, but just give myself some nice flowers. Now if you want to kind of go off, I'm going to fold my cardstock. That way it has more of a random look when I can kind of go off. All right, now I need to do just a couple here, or maybe a few more than a couple. Let me get just a few flowers right there on that flap because that's going to show as well. All right, our stamping is done. So we are just about ready to put our card together. If you'll give me just a few seconds, I just want to share with you real quick. If you love the Free as a Bird stamp set or the Bird Ballad Suite with all that great designer series paper, ribbon, all those wonderful things, you are going to want to check out my special Bird Ballad online class. Guys, in this class, I have an exclusive video just for you. It includes 6 cards. There's a written tutorial for all the cards, measurements, everything, photos, all kinds of great things. And there are also 6 bonus cards. So that's going to get you 12 cards all created with the Free as a Bird. And if you want to count today's video, that makes 13. To check that out, go over to simplysimplestamping.com, look way up in the top, and it's going to say the Simply Simple Stamping Store, and just look for the Bird Ballad online class. All right, are you ready to start putting this card together? All right, let's create. All right, we're going to take that 1 1/8 inch. This is the one that was not stamped on. And we're going to add this to the inside flap. So you see, it's just going to fit right inside there. Now I can add adhesive to this flap so I can adhere that together. All right, now we can come in with that stamped cardstock that says We're the Best of Friends, and that's going to go right here. Hey, while I adhere this, I certainly hope you're enjoying the card. I hope you are enjoying flashcards and flashcards 2.0. If you are, would you do me a favor? Give me a thumbs up on YouTube. I always appreciate that. We're going to add that little sentiment right there on the side. Now let's come in with the sentiment, Your friendship means the world to me, and our birds. And we're going to do a little dimensional work here. So I'm going to start with my sentiment, And I'm going to get a few dimensionals here. And I'm just going to go up at the top and the sides. And we're going to add this. I'm actually, you notice my dimensionals are not, the backings aren't gone yet because I want to make sure I see everything and where it's going to go. So there's my dimensionals there. And I'm going to kind of center up my birds here. You notice it's going to kind of come off the card, but my sentiment, that edge of that punch is going to line up with the edge of my card. So I'm pretty comfortable with what I'm about to do. So I'm going to peel off the backings. I need to adhere my focal image. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add dimensionals to one end. Remember, I don't want dimensionals over here because it's hanging off the card. So I just want a couple dimensionals here on the side. So let me add those. And then I put a little bit of adhesive. Can you see that? I put a little adhesive on my sentiment. And that's going to allow me to just adhere my focal image right there. All right, to polish it off, let's come in. You know what, I'm going to use the bow on this one. On my original, I did a knot, but hey, we're going to change it up. Let's add a bow. And to do that, we are going to use a mini glue dot. We'll just press the bow right onto the mini glue dot like so. And let's add that right there. I am telling you, that bow, doesn't that just make the card? Now remember I mentioned that extra piece of cardstock that was optional? Yeah, that can go right here inside if you would like. Now listen, this is Seaside Spray. It's a very light color. You can easily write your message and it's going to be seen just fine. But sometimes I just love that burst of white coming off. Now, of course, we can come in. We can add maybe a couple flowers. So there you go. I added just a few flowers in the seaside and went and put my sentiment back there. So let me go ahead and bring in the other one, just a little bit different because I just used a ribbon knot instead of a bow. But guys, I love this look of how the blends with that little light crumb cake. I think it just came out beautiful. You can leave the inside blank, or you can add that little pop of the Whisper White on the inside. Very, very sweet flash card. Thank you again, everyone, for being here. Be sure to check out the bird ballad tutorial over at simplysimplestamping.com so you can create lots of amazing cards with that free as a bird stamp set. That's it for me, everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.